My face currently feels like I've been run through by Tom Stewart.
Puts it to the top of the square. Oh, beautiful little fist in there by Dale. Crucial centimetre moments.
He definitely has a bit of the Belcho spirit. As I have a bit of the Belcho spirit.
Hello everyone and welcome to The Back Pocket, live from the Ballarat Grandstand. My name's Alistair, that's Jack. How you doing?
I'm good. It's really hard to hear you over all the machinery and the scaffolding.
What are you talking about? Nothing to see here.
There's a new Final Destination coming out soon and the scaffolding is worrying me.
Final Destination Ballarat.
Can you imagine someone's definitely getting killed by
in that movie.
a cow? Well, no, he tries to escape Ballarat to get away from the Final Destination scenario.
He's the final girl. He survives.
Well, no, in Final Destination, you have to have someone else take your place. But he would do that. He would kill someone to keep himself alive for sure.
That's why he's luring them in to the bottle-o with his free four-packs. A lot of context around what we're discussing, but we're just going to blow past it.
No need to explain
you understand
any of that. We had football this week.
We did. You ever see those movies where someone has a really bad Vietnam flashback and they're just not the same? About 10 minutes into that Carlton game, the Vietnam flashback hit and it didn't stop until it was maybe halfway through the day on Monday.
So, I was watching, obviously, the first half at Dad's. I came home at half-time and I was just sitting there, I was like, I can't even begin to imagine, what state... Because I was sure you'd already been through, all stages of grief by that point of the game. And I got home and you were just kind of zenned out. The volume was off on the TV.
Volume was off.
There was no commentary.
You can't listen to Mark Prosciutto for that long and keep your brain cells. And
as I walked in, Adelaide, it was Jordan Dawson took a mark and kicked a goal. And you were like, yeah. And I was like, all right, it's been that game. Okay.
It's honestly, I called it before the season even started.
Yeah, you did. Much like I did with the St Kilda game for Geelong.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just know when something's going to happen.
Yep.
And that was it.
As much as Carlton love to play in Adelaide for their fans, they should start requesting to not play Adelaide in Adelaide.
Unless they're playing a non-Adelaide team.
Oh, I'm happy to play Port. I'm happy to play Gather Round. I just don't want to play Adelaide in Adelaide.
Especially.
There you go.
Yeah, my summary for the week's games was, amazingly, there was no football on Thursday or Friday.
I don't remember.
And then every other game, basically, except for Geelong Collingwood, kind of sucked.
Oh, right. I remember sending a text to my sister that said, wow, I can't believe the Friday night game is somehow worse than the Thursday night game.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was before St Kilda kicked on. I guess gave St Kilda fans something to watch.
Yeah, it didn't make the game any better.
My app's just giving me a Royal Kingdom ad, so I can't.
But, yeah, it was a bad weekend of football.
Yeah.
We were hanging out. We're last week on the show, we were it's going to be a good Q-clash for once.
No. It was 5 goals in the first half.
There was 2 goals kicked in the first
Freo.
quarter, total, for Brisbane Gold Coast. And then Brisbane just belted away with it, and then Gold Coast kicked a couple of consolation goals late, but that was bad.
And then, obviously, Saturday had 2 blowouts. Obviously, the Melbourne West Coast game was not good after halftime. Could argue it wasn't good before halftime. Is it just Geelong Collingwood and
really
Sydney GWS, really?
And that was, even then, Sydney still kind of arm's length GWS all game as well. The only game that was a contest was the Geelong Collingwood game.
And boy, was that crazy.
One of the most insane...
I believe my all caps text to you when Crisp took that mark was, no. Might have been an O. Oh, no.
It was very funny. I was at the pub and the screen outside, I watched a bit of it inside, and the screen outside had the Melbourne West Coast game on it, the big screen. So I was watching it on my phone.
Here in WA, watching the good game.
And when Crisp took that mark, I tried to do the thing, and I've done it many times before at home, where I walk away from the screen. However, the screen was in my hands, and I was leaning on a pillar. So I just walked into the pillar and kind of turned my phone down. Anyway, he missed.
It's a common thing. If there's a goal after the siren or a last kick to win the game and our team is involved, one of us is somewhere else. We're no longer on the couch.
There was the Harry Mackay and Dangerfield ones on the same weekend last year.
It was the Mitch McGovern one against Collingwood where he missed. I think I was in the toilet.
I remember Mackay against Brisbane taking that shot.
Yep.
You wandered off. Dangerfield took that mark against the Bulldogs and I was like, nah. Anyway.
Definitely a football in week.
There was football
in the week. Well, I guess I'll just because I had a segment last week where I talked about Sydney and GWS.
You did.
And I feel like I'm vindicated when I said that GWS have a system that's not working. They didn't change that system or alter their setup, and they lost.
Super subject stringer though.
Yeah.
When the game was over.
He was the SEN sub of the week.
There weren't many other choices.
3 goals from 5 disposals is pretty good, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like obviously Wicks was pretty good.
Wicks was awesome.
But yeah, it shows that I think when Sydney gets some of that cattle back, they'll be better. But obviously some of them are still a few weeks away, which is rough. So what have they got coming up? They've got Essendon, which you'd think they'd win. Carlton at the SCG, which you'd think they'd win. And then Melbourne at the MCG. So that's 3 games that could really put them back in form. And then they get players back. So
I wrote about the other game. Bont is back. Chulaura's back. Dogs are scary.
It is terrifying, isn't it?
They look really good.
You can just oh yeah, we've got Fraser, but we don't need him. Oh, we've got Davidson, he's new, but we don't really need him. Just whatever.
Well, you've got like, oh, Libba, sorry, you're just kind of going to sit in the
Yes, Libby, you can hang around this game. And that's the thing.
Sorry, Libba, you've been surpassed by Richards, who is currently the highest rated player in the comp this year.
If someone figures out Richards, change it up. Move Richards to half back. If someone figures out Bont for a game, move him to half forward. Same with Matt Kennedy, he can go half forward. Riley Sanders is probably the only one without another position, and obviously Libba's going to be inside mid, but you're not tagging the inside
Riley
mid.
Sanders goes to wing and half forward pretty often now that the others are back anyway. So
it's kind of crazy, that depth there, and obviously you can roll Fraser through at stoppages, Davidson on the wing, Harms coming up and then kicking goals. So I don't like it.
I was saying about it, I was like saying that I hope the Bulldogs win by a lot this weekend, and then I was like, I followed up with, that's just because I'm not scared of them enough yet, because I have complete faith that they'll lose to some awful teams at Marvel later in the year, and knock their season around. If they don't do that, then I'm just terrified.
I think
because I felt the same last year. I was like, oh no, Bulldogs, and then they lost to West Coast. That was the year before. Last year they lost to another rubbish team at Marvel. And also Adelaide.
Wheelo's got them at the top.
Yeah, I bet he does.
What does that mean?
Right. Finbar Maley debuted.
Poor
he
guy.
Had a shot for goal after the siren he missed.
He barely had a shot. He had a run-up. He had a lot of time.
It was 33 seconds before he started it. But he clunks them.
I thought he was all right.
He clunks them.
Apart from that moment, I thought he was decent.
I liked his contested marking.
That game was hard to watch because Essendon kicked 6 goals in the first quarter and then 3 for the rest of the game. North Melbourne really did have it on their terms for 3 quarters and couldn't.
If they could convert, if it wasn't for Zach Merritt, they win.
Yeah, genuinely. And I don't know why they didn't put someone to him.
They just let him run riot.
It's kind of like Clarko was sitting in the box like, fuck, Merritt's getting a bit.
Yeah.
Eh.
We're one West Coast win away from the potato of parity.
When will it come?
Maybe never.
I don't know who West Coast have coming up.
I think they've got North in a couple of weeks.
I think there's like a round robin of those teams at the moment. They've got Richmond, who they probably won't beat.
If they win this week against Richmond, they do complete it.
St Kilda the next week, which could be anything. Adelaide, they ain't winning that.
They're not winning that. Last year that was the 124-point game or something.
Geelong at Optus and then North at Hands Oval, which I assume is in Tasmania.
Bunbury.
Oh, yeah, I sold a home game. They might win that.
They might win that. Oh, that'd be funny. West Coast's first win comes because North sold their home game.
And it would it means a lot for those two teams because right now they are both on the cusp of being historically the worst teams ever. I think...
No, but North were back when they beat Melbourne in round 2.
North, I think, I don't remember the exact year, it was like 1967. It was the least amount of wins over 80 games since then. I think West Coast need to win some to keep themselves out of that category.
That's such a grim competition to be having with another team.
It's not great, but I'm just glad my team's not in the
West Coast had some moments on the weekend. Yeah,
it was against the Oliver-less Melbourne, though.
Yeah.
And then when Melbourne needed to put the foot down, they did, and it was over.
Petrarca's insane. That's the... Gorn as well. Before the game on ABC Radio, the Freo CEO was guaranteeing that Longmuir would be coaching round 1 next year. I don't know if that's true.
Well...
There's a reason he's on that rolling contract, right?
I mean, I'm not expecting them to go gangbusters against Collingwood, but they are the favourites for some reason.
Collingwood have rested Pendlebury,
That's
Digoli,
right, yeah. Back in the system.
Maya checks out with a rib injury. Which is... Howe's coming back in.
Oh, okay.
But there's 4 outs.
Yeah, that's wild to me. But did you know, and this is a fun fact that I learned from the midweek tackle, do you know that Ross Lyon has not coached against Fremantle in Perth since he's resumed at St Kilda?
That's crazy.
They've only played each other at Marble. Yeah.
Home of the hamstrings.
Home of the hamstrings.
I mean, there was 3 on the weekend, all very similar. They didn't look like there was much to them.
Yeah, and they're all 8-week plus injuries. Ridley and Archer happened within minutes of each other.
Yeah. And Hayden Young, probably for his best player, just about.
Honestly, the point of difference in their midfield, and I don't know if they can afford to have Shea Bolton in there the whole time.
It's going to have to be, and they brought him in, is Neil Erasmus.
Yeah. Cooper Simpson.
Because that's the changes they made. It's interesting. Like they've dropped.
Is it Cooper?
A small
I assume
forward.
every C is
I'm
Cooper.
pretty sure it is Cooper Simpson.
Cooper O'Sullivan.
So you've said that one a lot. So like they've dropped a key defender and a small forward, and they've lost a midfielder, and they brought in a key forward and 2 midfielders.
Hey,
so
sometimes it works.
We'll see how it works out. I mean, look, Freo in Perth are a completely different team this year to what they are outside of Perth, from what we've seen. So
yeah, but without Hayden Young.
It's a huge out. Like he's so important to them.
Just one less midfielder.
He gives their midfield variety, where Sarong and Brayshaw are very good at getting the ball, but like Young gives them some burst and like long kicking and everything they need to be doing.
Hey, at least you won't be able to confuse him with Carl Warner or Corey Wagner or whoever the hell they've got running around.
Yeah, they've got like a surfy version of Geelong's fucking blonde.
Yeah.
All right. Scarlett Silvagni votes. Let's get into them. If you tuned in before, you know how this works. And if you haven't, we give 5 through to 1 votes or 1 through to 5 for the best defenders of the week, based on defensive, intercept, yada yada, running the ball off halfback,
doing defensive stuff,
doing good stuff out of the back line.
Vibes.
/vibes.
Hashtag vibes.
So you did the intro.
I'm too old to be saying hashtag.
I mean, I argued that saying
it's our
hashtag
generation
ages you.
Yeah.
My 1 vote is to a surprise to me, maybe more than anyone else, and it's to Mark O'Connor.
Oh.
He was really good, especially in the second half. He negated De Goey completely. He got 2 coaches' votes for his efforts. He had 11 disposals, and 5 of those were intercepts and 4 contested. 8 marks, 4 of those were intercepts. Won both his one-on-ones, had 8 defensive half pressure acts and 3 spoils.
You'll have to rescind the horrible things you've said about Mark O'Connor.
So many
in the past
horrible
few
things.
weeks.
He was awesome. I didn't know he had that in him.
I did not have him in my special mentions, but
Good game.
I only watched the second half, so
Yeah. That was when he was good. Who was your one?
my 1 vote is to someone whose team got absolutely fucking pantsed.
Okay.
And that's Alex Pearce.
He was my top special mention.
Top special mention. She gets 1 vote for me. I've written down 23v1 on the weekend, and I think Pearce put in a hell of an effort.
Yeah.
He had a 19.1 player rating for a key defender in a 60-point
He
loss.
set up their first 2 goals, kicks inside 50, their fullback.
And ended up with 10 intercepts, and he had 4 one-on-ones, and he lost 1 of them. So, considering how much the ball was going in there and how much they were getting pantsed after half-time.
He was really, really good in a genuinely awful game. Not just awful for the game, like awful from Freo. Like one of the worst games I've seen them play.
Both.
Definitely in the last decade.
And it was not all Freo's fault. Ross Lyon flooded the forward line, and also whenever there was a loose ball,
he
had
lines
his
up
players tackled
each
before.
year against Fremantle and Geelong, and he's like, fucking lock in. He's just straight in.
A couple other teams, but he had those players locked onto them before the ball had even been bounced, so they couldn't get space.
A horrible flood.
Yeah.
Which is something you can do at Marvel, I think, which is what makes those awful Marvel games so bad. Like, the good ones are great because it's high scoring, there's no wind, but the bad games at Marvel are just...
Yeah, just don't let St Kilda play there.
My 2 votes was to Harris Andrews.
I have Harris Andrews with a 5.
With a 5, fair enough. I was shocked he didn't get coaches' votes.
I wrote down Harris Andrews has claims to be the best defender in the league, with "the" in capital letters.
I wrote the king of defenders leading from the back. Had 18 at 94, honestly, 11 of those were intercepts.
I'm shocked you have him this low.
He had 7 contested, he had 12 marks, 5 intercepts, 2 contested, 11 spoils, 4 out of 4 one-on-ones, 2 score involvements, and they were both launches.
Alongside a total of 11 intercepts for the game.
Yeah.
I thought he was great.
Me too.
And I think his counterpart, Mac Andrew, down the other end, was also good. I've got him down as a special mention, but I thought Harris Andrews was probably best on ground outside of the midfielders in that game.
And that's why I said I was shocked you didn't get a coach's vote.
Well, I'm shocked you gave him two
yeah,
Scarlett
right.
Silvagni votes.
That's right.
I was going to call them SS votes, but you can't
don't
call
be
them
doing
that. SSM?
Think about the fact that Holden had a car called an SS for just so long.
Anyway, so that's my my 5, your 2. Now we're all confused.
On your 2.
Bailey Dale is my 2.
Bailey Dale was in my votes and out of my votes for a lot of the weekend, but
I've just written down superb game. He had 559 metres gained with 5 score involvements and 8 rebounds, so he was doing it at both ends. I don't know if I think he did get coaches' votes.
Yeah, pretty sure he did.
I don't remember, but I thought he was good.
I think he got 3 or 4. I also thought he was really good. My 3 was the Sam Wicks.
Sam Wicks is a special mention for me.
He's becoming quite the handy defender. We mentioned him as being one of their key outs last week. Yeah. He had 18 disposals while keeping Toby Green to 9. He had 6 score involvements while keeping Toby Green to 3. He had 6 intercepts, 5 of those disposals were contested. 4 marks, 1 of those were intercepts. He won his only one-on-one with Green. He had 2 spoils and 401 metres gained. It was a really, really good game.
My 3 votes is to, I think I might have given him 5 last week, Josh Battle. And I've written down literally taking the piss against easy opposition.
Yep.
So this is the second week in a row he's had 30 or more disposals as the key / intercepting defender. He has 17.8 rating. He had 10 intercepts and 7 score involvements for a key. It's an insane game. Obviously, it comes at an easier opposition, but I mean, if you play that well, what?
He was a special mention to me on opposition.
And I feel like sometimes I'm harsh on that, sometimes I'm not. Like, stats-wise, he should probably be getting a 5.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
Easy
Then I was
opposition drops it down.
Yeah, especially because Tom Lynch had the worst full game of his career.
Yeah, it's funny.
My 4 was to Josh Worrell.
It's my 4 as well.
He was very, very good.
I've written down just dominated.
He did.
I don't even want to look at the stats.
I said, my literal notes here say, I'm sure you want to forget this game. But performance of a lifetime.
I forgot it before it was over.
He had 23 disposals, 9 intercepts, 9 contested, 7 marks, 2 of those were intercepts. He had 4 score involvements and 1 launch, 2 spoils, 5 rebounds, and the greatest goal save I've ever seen. Like, he ran from 40 metres away, collided with the goalpost to just get a finger on it, and they were dominating. Like, it was unnecessary. We were earlier in the year, I can't remember what game we were watching, we're like, Josh Worrell, really good, huh? Like, we just kept seeing him with his mop.
Yeah.
Takes his intercept marks and his hair comes down after him. He was very, very good, which means my 5 got none from you.
Who is?
Which is Cal Wilkie.
Yeah.
He was a contender for worst game of the year, but he was awesome. He had 24 disposals, 8 of those were intercepts, 7 score involvements from fullback. He had 14 marks. And 3 score launches. Freo's forward line had no hope. And he pretty much took marks off of almost every inside 50 they had for the first half.
I think I was so disgusted by that first half, I just didn't even clock it.
My special mentions, I already mentioned Bailey Dale and Alex Pearce. My other 2 were to Billy Frampton and Dane Rampy.
I had Billy Frampton written down. I couldn't give him votes, but...
I thought he did some really good stuff. He had a much better game than his captain and
Spoil
counterpart in Darcy Moore.
Darcy Moore was okay.
He was okay, but he gave up 2 direct goals. 2 Ollie Henry, of all people, which Collingwood fans wouldn't have been happy about. And I wrote down the round highs again. So Stephen May had the most spoils with 12. Oscar Allen had the most intercepts with 12.
Yep. I looked at Oscar Allen's stats and I was like, they're quite good.
5 players had 5 intercept marks, which was Harris Andrews, Miles Bergman, Brennan Cox, Sam DeConing and Harry Perriman. 4 players had the most contested defensive one-on-one neutralisations with 4, which was Andrews, Aaliyah, Payne and Radaglia, but Andrews didn't lose any of his. And Allen had the most rebounds as well with 9, but the ball went in there a lot.
Too many times. Did
Did
they do stats on defensive tackling?
No, only pressure acts.
That's stupid.
Yeah, forward 50 tackling, yes. Defensive tackling, no. I wish
silly.
they did, because it'd be a good stat to know. So that's the votes.
Yeah, well, I wrote down my bits for the week, and it was really just revisiting Sydney GWS. I already did that. Again, it feels like it happens a lot recently, but the 2 best games of the round are on at the same time. Gold Coast Bulldogs in Darwin and Port Adelaide showdown.
Yeah, I think they're 2 of mine. I only had 4 this week that I thought were watchable.
4?
I think
I guess...
Collingwood is the game of the week for interest. With Collingwood resting 3 players, Freo need to come back in Perth. That game last year in Perth was a cracker, which was only decided by what was not actually a controversial umpiring decision because it was correct, but It was the talk of the week. And then the other one is Geelong GWS, because GWS have a really good record.
They have a good record there.
But on current form, Geelong should be winning that game.
I can understand resting DeGoey and Pendlebury, because obviously Pendlebury's precious. You don't want him flying. And obviously DeGoey's had so many soft injuries, you don't want to risk it. Maynard's a weird one.
Maynard is a weird one. Maybe he's still crying after having a sad at the umpire in that last
I was
quarter.
wondering if this would get brought up. I shouldn't have said his name.
It was very funny. It was very funny to me, because it's just what happened to him is what he does all game.
Yeah, it was
A crazy ending to that game.
Yeah, it was fucked.
I didn't really have time to notice Maynard complaining to the umpire live, because there was just too much going on.
Because you walked into a pole.
Different moment, but yeah, there was too much going on in that game for me to notice any player's reactions. It wasn't until I watched the highlights later. Stocks up, stocks down?
Yeah, we could do stocks up, stocks down. Stocks up, Jordan Dawson.
Yeah.
If you didn't already have him,
Oh
which you
boy.
probably should have.
He's good.
Maybe resting him at full forward can work.
It can work. Yeah. It's very funny how 1 week later it's 1 week after, why did they put him at full forward in that? And then now it's that's why.
Yeah, because it can come across.
My stock's up.
Yeah.
With Zach Reid.
Yeah, Zach Reid's pretty good.
He's already probably become maybe their second best defender behind Ridley. It's great to see him fit.
It'll be interesting to see how their backline goes with Reid and Hayes, who are both quite tall.
And and inexperienced.
It'll be interesting, but they've got Sydney?
Yeah, which is often weirdly fiery, even when Sydney's killing it, Essendon's not.
What are Sydney's keys at the moment? Not exceptional.
They're not
So
clean.
maybe it is a good moment to put
Bring
someone
it
in.
in, yeah.
Who has to play on a Francis or
Who stocks down?
gotta say Carlton.
I can have stocks down in this one because I had stocks in them pre-season, and my stocks down are Freo playing finals. I had a lot of stock in that. I'm selling at a loss.
I'll give you my stocks down, and this one hurts. Stocks down and never to be bought back again is Sam Doherty.
Down, staying down. Oh yeah, he is.
And down, and off sale.
Look, I couldn't believe they bought him back. I know they kind of needed to bring someone in, but we talked about it during the week. There were other names that we both threw out.
Jordan Boyd, Jackson Binns, if you want to.
I thought Boyd looked better than from what I've on exposed form this year. Boyd's looked better. Doherty is just.
I just don't think he has it in him anymore.
Sometimes the game loses you.
How many knees is it? 3 knees, 3 or 4 knees, 2 bouts of cancer. I think it's just too much. I think it's beyond him at this
his
point.
body has been through more.
And I love him to death.
most.
He'll be. I would love it if somehow he managed to get himself to 200 games, because that would feel great. But I just can't see it happening.
It's one of the best less than 200 game careers anyone's ever had.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those that could potentially get into a Hall of Fame, despite the fact that he doesn't have the accolades because he hasn't played. But if you are able to, win all Australians, then come back from 2 bouts of cancer and 3 knee injuries, there's a romanticism about it, right? So
sure.
he's.
But I know people who will lose their minds if he gets one before Savrocker.
He's a legend. I love him, but I do not want to see him in the AFL team for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
That one hurts.
Yeah. I got one of your favourite segments.
Is it a big footy bit?
I got Big Footy Bonanza.
Oh, sweet.
Which team's sweet?
I've never said that before in my life.
Schmeat.
It's going to peak the mic for sure.
Oh yeah, I was just resetting the peaked mics too. Which board was this from?
Wish.
Disgusting performance.
Oh.
Mentally weak team that went in believing they couldn't win. It's going to be a long year.
Going to be a long year? So it's a team that thought they were still in it at this point. Fremantle?
No, see, I thought this one might get. It was Gold Coast. They do have fans that care.
No, they don't.
Enough to say that.
Did they have a little Gold Coast logo next to their name, or were they one of those ones that have a Brisbane or
No.
Collingwood
They
logo
were
and
a Gold
posted
Coast
there?
logo next to their name. But yeah, they were not happy on that board. Actually, they were.
I mean, it was a shit game. They just got
manhandled completely.
Yeah.
Dunkley just monstered Rao. It was like a hey bloody, let's
Settle down.
another one.
Oh, you got another one.
Who didn't see that loss coming after doing literally nothing in the second half? Yes, we were desperate for the last few minutes, but what was that previous 60? We got what we deserved. Such a waste. Never should have lost this game. We have a long way to go between the ears, and the way we played in that second half reeked of entitlement.
I want to say GWS, but they don't have fans. Entitlement.
Yeah.
Essendon after a win.
Could you imagine? That was Collingwood.
Okay.
I had to find one that wasn't talking about the umpires or the Guard of Honour or lack thereof after the game.
Guard of Honour. Okay, I'm not getting into that.
But that was the one that made me go, damn. I mean, I didn't think you were that bad, especially for the whole second half. Like they kicked out in the third quarter. Anyway, and it almost like we said the week before, it almost happened to Carlton when Dangerfield does that. Mm-hmm. He had more forward 50 ground ball gets in the second half than I think Collingwood had for the game, which is only because Collingwood took 16 marks inside 50. It's
insane, and I don't like it.
A stat where if you take 16 marks inside 50 and you lose, you have to be like, that's probably not great.
Yeah,
that's a concern. But yeah, Dangerfield's a freak. You shouldn't be doing that at that age. We've said it already multiple times this year. It's messed up. Really thought it'd be like mark and goal kind of guy, not a 29 disposals, 13 score involvements type rubbish. So
it was what I wanted to see from Nat Fyfe when they announced this sort of role for him a year ago. And he just
teams try and do it with other people. I saw Luke Hodge laughing about it the other day. He was like, just do like the rest of us, go forward pocket and kick maybe 1 goal a game, or go to the back flank and pick up 20. You can't be doing this at 35. Full list of players with the 20 disposals, 10 contested and 1 goal is back to being a bit normal again. It's Heaney, Miller, Petrarca and Rankin.
For this year.
And Petrarca and Miller are averaging 25 disposals from that list as well. But that's understandably a list of players who are having a really good year, I think. Heaney flying under the radar, I think, because Sydney are having a bad time.
Rankin's one who I think gets talked about so much, and I don't always see it. But then when you see it,
when he's on, it's insane. It's similar, I think. Like watching Pickett the last few weeks, you're like, where's it gone again?
Yeah.
And the few weeks before that, it was like, I see why he's worth so much.
Yeah.
But when it's not there,
so I guess. The only thing left to talk about really is the elephant in the room. And I'm not going to focus so much on the event as much as the AFL's response to said event.
It was the top thing on my list and I scrolled past it.
It's at the bottom of mine. I was like, just chuck it in at the end. Willie Rioli said some things to some players. I'm not going to comment too much on that and the situation regarding it. Quite clear that something's not quite right mentally or emotionally there at the moment. The AFL, on the other hand,
have handled it about as badly as you could.
Yeah.
Like, I think even if there are circumstances with Rioli that they know of that aren't public, you can't be fining players for flipping each other off or Ken Hinkley for doing a Titanic reference and then not fining a guy for that. Like, you can't, no matter what the circumstances are, that's not on.
And fool me once, shame on me, but like...
Fool me twice, shame on you. Fool me 3 times, shame on me again.
It's a lot.
Fool me 4 times, shame on you again. You're taking advantage of me.
They've reopened the investigation only after 2 clubs have had to come out in the media and be like, yeah, you said shit about our players too.
And I feel like the Bulldogs being like, you know what? We're cool with it, they've apologised. Shouldn't have been enough for the AFL to just be like, oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Because that's the most AFL thing possible. They were just like, oh, we don't have to do anything? Excellent.
So it's distressing, but hopefully now something will be done about it, and hopefully the main thing is making sure that any players who've been threatened and also Willie Rioli get any help they need to move past this. Because
it is crazy that you picked it. That like the Geelong game was the week before Darwin again last year. Obviously the Essendon game wasn't, but like that's a crazy coincidence. Yeah. Because you said it as a joke.
I said it as a joke.
And then I looked it up and I was like, oh, it was.
Yeah. So he threatened a Geelong player the week before they went to Darwin.
But I remember 2 years ago. I remember saying in that game, like he was the reason they won that game, but he was very nearly the reason they lost it because for that whole second half he was a loose unit. And I think that that's part of the reason that he needs to maybe take some time away from the game. Because if players know that, sure, most of the players might not take advantage of it, but someone's going to get under his skin, and you can't be having a player who's that emotionally fragile out there.
And every team now knows that he is that player that you can
exactly
push the buttons of. So
teams
are going to do it.
Once that's public, you got to sort it out.
The AFL will go, well, you knew he was going to say it, so your fault. We're going to fine you.
Yeah, well, the way the Bulldogs... That also made me go, sure, there's something else going on here, because the AFL were like, now, Port and the Bulldogs, you settle down, and the Bulldogs are like, what the fuck did we do? My only other note I really wrote was that I wonder who Essendon picks up in the mid-season draft. Because I don't think it should be Crossley, because their 2 rucks made him look C-grade in the pre-season.
But he would do better than them right now.
I also thought that the guy, Keogh was also... I've watched his VFL, and I think he's also one of those ones who, sure, he's great in the VFL because he's giant, but he's also very slow and not hugely agile. And I wonder if Nathan Kruger is obviously injury prone and we know about that, but
don't know if he's fully ruck.
Even just a key position forward who's tall enough, and you want someone more mobile, because I think the days of just a lumbering ruck are over. It doesn't really work,
I suppose. But I still maybe is there anyone you do waffle games? Is there anyone in the waffle who's like? Yeah, well, I mean, East Fremantle, I can't remember his name, it starts with an S, just got their big boy back after losing him to a shoulder injury last year, but there's no one that seems AFL level at this point, I don't think. Unless you want to redraft a Jack Mayo or something like that. Stranatica used to play for Freo.
Stranatica, that's the one.
If that's how you say it.
Yeah. He's been looking good, but again, if he wasn't up to scratch there.
Yeah.
Is he now? Because it's a tough spot they found themselves in. Goldstein's just too old to be taking those duties himself every week.
He's doing it valiantly at the moment, but watching him get up off the ground
and in last
into
quarters,
contests,
he's just so slow. And that's not his own fault.
Not his fault. I looked this up to make sure. Matthew Cruiser, who has been the ruck coach of Carlton for 5+ years,
he's the same age.
Is younger than Todd Goldstein by 1.5 years.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where I reckon he was on that list expecting to play maybe 1 or 2 games this year.
Yeah.
When they needed to rest, the other 2. Not expecting both of them to go down for the whole season and him be there. Poor guy.
It's. I mean, obviously there's the sample as well, but I don't know.
Yeah, because the other problem is they don't have someone who can makeshift it. They don't have a spare key forward sitting in the VFL.
They've got 2 developing
Peter
ruckmen?
Wright their ruck. That doesn't.
Is it Vigo Visentini? Is
Visentini?
their developing ruck, but he's just not ready.
No.
Maybe you have to look at. I don't know. You get a country footballer. Maybe some who's retired in the past couple of years.
Rucks.
Yeah. What's Naismith doing?
He's coaching at Fremantle.
He's not getting a game.
Draft. What's his name? Crazy Eyes. Tom Hickey.
Get
him back out there.
5th club.
Oh, that's a record right there.
Don't think so.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. It's a dire situation they found themselves in. Especially because Draper had been so injuries-wise reliable for his whole career. And he was looking the best he has in his whole career.
It's not like, we're missing Brian for 6 weeks, we can deal with it. They're missing both
of them for the season.
Probably a year.
Yeah. Both horrible injuries. Speaking of horrible injuries, how the hell is, who was it for?
Harrison Jones.
Yeah, how's he fine? Crazy.
He's
walking on it.
Yeah. He, I guess...
Completely dislocated
I guess because it completely dislocated
and just did no
and then
ligament
he
or bone
bounced
damage
on the joint, it didn't really matter.
Crazy. Because when I saw the screen and his foot, after he landed on it, bounced on it.
He did bounce it.
He bounced on it crazy style.
Bounced on it crazy style.
And then he sat there and it was still sitting on that angle. When
he was holding his leg like that, I was like, he's done.
Not good.
But no,
totally
apparently
fine.
4 weeks.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
That's less of an injury
if that
than
happened
when Young tackled a guy. That's less of an injury than
Jackson
when
Archer kicking a ball.
Archer was getting tackled a little bit. When Ridley was running through them. He's made of glass, it's a bit different.
Yeah.
But crazy that probably the worst looking injury we've seen in weeks. He's all right.
If I did that to my ankle, I wouldn't walk for 5 months.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Christ. Maybe that's the advantage of him being so just like slim.
Yeah, maybe.
He's a skinny boy.
I feel like that would make you more prone to breaks. But...
Well, I did wonder if that was like, why it's so easily dislocated. Because there's not much going on by the way of lower leg muscles on that boy. Anyway, what a time.
Yeah, so injuries, football.
Injuries suck.
We talked about game of the week.
Yep.
Have we got any segments we missed?
I don't think so. We could do the Friday footy quiz, but...
I'm too tired for the Friday footy quiz.
Same.
It's a low-energy podcast.
I read it and
we
I
tried.
went... No.
We went and saw a movie instead of doing the podcast at a regular hour, so...
Last week we went and saw a movie instead of watching the second half of St Kilda Freo, and that was...
Great choice.
The right decision. Yeah.
Well, if you like what we do, pay us money.
Yeah, buy a shirt.
That's what happens when you put me in charge
Drop
at the end of the episode.
You can find us anywhere at the Back Pocket AU. New edition of The Weekend Football will be out tomorrow, or probably today when you're hearing this. I think that's going to come out in the mornings on Thursdays now. So if you want to read that, it's a good newsletter collection of stuff. Mine's all ruck stats this week. Just about. You've been hearing commentators talk about Darcy Cameron taking the most intercepts for rucks. It's just about the different roles rucks do and how having multiple of those strings to your bow is what sets you above, like Cameron and Gawn and that kind of thing. And then other people with way more in-depth and smart stats than I'm able to write will be writing for that as well. But until then, we'll see you next week.
Bye.